Call this meeting of the Toledo City Council for December 3rd, 2025 to order. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All of you take the roll, please.
Okay, Councilor Keating. Here. Councilor Burns.
Yes, right here.
Councilor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Kaufman.
Here.
Council President Mix.
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Here.
Thank you. Mayor, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, do we have any visitors in the room who would like to address council this evening on any items not on the agenda? Seeing none, is there anyone online, Paul?
There is no one online, Mayor.
Thank you very much. All right, next item, special business, city council vacancy. We are here to interview a city council candidate. Eric Chambers, could you please take the stand there and state your name?
Thanks, Mayor. My name is Eric Chambers.
Council, is there any questions on his application?
I just would like to say that I really appreciate what you submitted, your resume, if you will. And I just wondered as I was reading through it, I mean, clearly you're a servant. And so I just wonder, of all the things that you've done, what was your most challenging and what was your most
Okay, Jackie, we don't ask questions yet.
Oh, we don't? Oh, never mind. When do I get to?
At the end of the questions. First, we have our standard questions.
Oh, I don't like those.
Well, that's kind of what we do. Okay, all right. All right, council, you want me to ask all the questions or shall we go in?
Sure, go for it.
Go for it. Oh, that was quick.
Not me.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chambers. It's good to say that to someone beside your dad. City Council meets on the first and third and fourth Wednesdays of each month at 6 p.m. Meetings typically last 2 to 3 hours. In addition, councilors serve on special council or intergovernmental committees as needed. Is there any reason that this commitment will conflict with your personal schedule?
I don't think so. I work Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., so I should be able to make it to 6 p.m. city council meetings. I do have occasional work travel, quarterly trade organization meetings that might require remote participation every now and then. But for the most part, I think that I can make it work.
Thank you. What is your motivation for wanting to serve on the city council?
I have an affection for Toledo that borders on a little bit unhealthy. This is my hometown. I remember in high school helping move the old post office to the new location that's not so new anymore. And I managed to procure the Toledo only sign that for the mail slot for in-town mail. And that's hung on every corkboard at every job and office dorm room that I've had since that moment, kind of a touchstone of where I wanted to be. And so when our family was able to come home, I'm super happy to be part of the community again. I think, growing up here, there's a sense of belonging and connectedness that's not typical, having been in other places. And I think that's a great thing. You think about, it was a while ago, but really transcendent leaders, people like Sharon Branstetter, who I think are an inspiration in terms of what public service can look like and what it looks like to lead. And just excited to be part of what's going on. I think, there's a special thing here, and I would love to be part of it.
Please describe your experience in community and or volunteer service, including groups or organizations that you've been involved in within the city of Toledo, and how those experiences have prepared you for serving as a city councilor.
So since moving home, most of my community involvement outside of my job has been at Toledo Junior Senior High. I serve on the site council at the school, and I've been a volunteer Gear Up mentor for middle school kids, and this year an Aspire mentor for seniors working on their college applications. I've been an active part of the Booster Club. Been able to help support the guy in the back of the room a tiny bit with the homie house and the amazing things that he has going on. In the past, I've helped with fundraisers for the Toledo Food Share. I couldn't tell from this question if you want me to go into like additional qualifications. Like I served on the Association of Oregon Recyclers Board. I was on the League of Oregon City Finance and Taxation Committee. I worked in local government for 14 years. So I've worked on kind of the policy side of how state statutes, federal laws and regulations impact local governments. And then I've worked on the administrative side as department director at the city of Gresham, overseeing a number of functions at that level. So I love local government. I have a little bit of experience in it that I think might be helpful, and would love to be part of it.
Thank you. What do you believe are the city of Toledo's strengths and weaknesses?
I spent a little bit of time on this. Thank you for putting the questions in the council packet for today. Also, I got a little bit of a jump on it, but spent a little bit of time with this one. I think hands down, Toledo's greatest strength are its people. There's something special about this place that just makes people be practical and authentic. When we are our best selves, we're focused on community, and you see that if it's the wooden boat show or the summer festival or the tree lighting last weekend. That's in my experience, that's not typical. It's special, and I think that's Toledo's greatest strength. In terms of greatest weaknesses, I mean, there's a few things that I think are real challenges at this point, and probably none of them news to anybody at that dais. I think we have a concerning number of vacant storefronts if you drive through town, and some worry of maybe some more. I think there's a real, this is not a uniquely Toledo challenge, but sort of across the board, I think that there's a strong need to reinvigorate civic organizations and participation, and think about when Stu and my dad were on JCs and doing everything in the community, and it was a different time, and people thought about community in a different way. And so I think that's a challenge, again, not necessarily a Toledo unique one, but certainly one that vexes me. From an organizational perspective, I mean, I think there's a lingering disease that the council has done a really good job of trying to emerge back out of, and I think continuing that is really important. And then again, not news to anybody here, but the structural general fund deficit, 0.20% from reserves to balance the budget for the last couple of years is not ideal. And so I think figuring out what it looks like to try to land that plane back into a comfortable place, I think is going to be a really important focus for the council.
Okay. What will be your main priorities if appointed to the Toledo City Council?
I mean, I think my first priority is that we collectively be really boring. I think it's not hard to look around even within Lincoln County at examples of local councils and boards that have that are anything but boring in ways that detract from public service. And so I think just trying to be a congenial and cooperative member of the team, I think, is a really important priority if in my capacity if I were appointed to city council. I think making sure that we don't lose sight of the things that add to our vibrancy, and some of them we almost take for granted, like the summer festival is, maybe does more public good than anything else we do in Toledo. And it almost went away. I mean, there's a small handful of volunteers that hold it together. And I think, when you talk to people, there's the things that are below the surface of the iceberg. You got your water services, your sewer services. All of those things need to be obviously need to be run really effectively. But then the things that people point to that they can see and feel and convey to others are those events and festivals and opportunities to come together. So I think that those are a big priority. I think again, stopping the bleeding on the general fund side. Like, I think it's been, that will be a really important thing, not to dwell on it, but I think that's to get the city moving in a stable direction. I think that will be really important this year.
Sometimes city councilors have to make decisions that are unpopular to some members of the community. How would you respond to criticism from citizens for a decision made or supported that they did not like?
I have a thick skin. I grew up in a small town. People are unbashful. They're generous with their opinions and perspectives, as they should be. I think it's important to, as a counselor, I think it's important to hear them, to take the time to listen and hear them. I think it's important to show your work, to convey the why. We might not disagree on this, or we might not agree on this, but let me at least explain the premises that led to my conclusion. So I think, 90% of the time that resolves it. I think there's something to be said for showing the restraint to not try to fix everything that's wrong on the internet, not engaging in message boards in a way that's unproductive or something like that. Sometimes you have to let people just express themselves and appreciate that that's what they've got going on as well.
Okay. After reviewing the city charter and council rules documents, what provisions stand out to you and why?
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me in the council rules and the charter is the, I think, relatively low threshold for charter amendments to be approved. In Gresham, the threshold was 60%, and sort of a structural recognition that it should be hard to amend something like a governing document like that. So I don't know that that's good or bad, but that was probably the thing that gave me the most curiosity as I read through it.
According to the city charter, the role of a city councilor is to serve as a link between the community and city government. How will you fill that role?
I think the first thing you can do is make sure that you shop at JC Market and eat cheeseburgers at Timbers. Just listen to people. I think it's really important to be just present, to be available, to be at community events, to be involved in organizations that are doing awesome things in the community. And I think that, again, people are sort of generous with their perspectives, and I think we can trust them. I'm sure you guys receive those from folks on a regular. So I think trying to be present and open is probably the best way in a town like Toledo to be able to serve in that sort of connected role.
From time to time, you'll get complaints or ideas from citizens. How do you think these should be handled?
Sort of different types of complaints or ideas. I think for routine things, like if somebody is concerned about a pothole or has a code enforcement issue or something like that, it's as simple as showing them what the correct channel is to make that type of complaint or raise that concern with the city. They can do it on their own. I think if it's things where they've tried those channels maybe and they're haven't gotten a response or what the response that they expect, I think following whatever the council's practice is for those types of things, my assumption is that's letting the snappily dressed city manager. No, apparently there was a memo that went out. Thing going on here. Letting the city manager know that happened. If it's the custom to CC the council on a message like that, that would be fine. I think if it's a bigger thing, like a larger scale operational concern or a policy idea, the appropriate place to give voice to that is probably in a meeting like this at a dais like that, and talk to your colleagues on the council about it.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
I do not.
Okay. Now at this time, do we have any extra
He
questions?
already answered it.
Well, good for him.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, council? All right. So now we need to deliberate.
Okay, now why? Can we vote now?
If that's part of deliberations.
Yeah. Okay. I move to accept his application and appoint him to city council.
Second.
Oh, did you guys want to deliberate on that?
Come on, Andrew, you know you wanna. No? Okay.
It's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Frank, to accept the application and appoint, thank you. God, I was freezing on there. Appoint Eric Chambers to the vacancy on the city council. Would you take a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Burns,
You betcha.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Council President Nix,
Yes.
and Mayor Cross.
Of course.
Ta-da.
Where's his plaque? Your seat is right here.
It will be here next week.
So he needs to get sworn in.
Okay.
Would it be appropriate for a quick round of applause, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chambers, Mr. Johnson
Oh, yeah.
will
Oh, yes.
take the next step.
I don't know where you want to do it, up front, on the dais.
The camera points.
Let you stand here, because we'll catch you better on that.
There we go. Do you want to come up?
You want to come up with you?
You can.
Bear with me, this is my first one.
Thank you.
Hopefully it's not the last.
You can just turn these. Oh, there you go.
Go ahead, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Eric Chambers,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Toledo.
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Toledo.
I further swear that I will faithfully,
I further swear that I will faithfully,
honorably, and diligently perform
honorably, and diligently perform
the duties of city councilor for the city of Toledo,
the duties of city councilor for the city of Toledo,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Please. See, I'm against.
Birthday party.
They're leaving?
We have a full dais.
Been looking forward to this for a long. All right, our next item is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
There were a bunch of corrections to the consent agenda that have already been made in the record. So I would move to accept the consent agenda with corrections as presented.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Frank to accept the consent agenda with corrections. You take a roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry, who was motion second?
Tracy and Frank.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Councilor Burns,
Yes.
Councilor Keating,
Yes.
Councilor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I was out of order.
It's okay.
Councilor Chambers,
I'll abstain since I wasn't at these meetings.
Council President Nix,
Yes.
and Mayor Cross.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Next item, community service reports and/or presentations to the council. Oregon Coast Children's Center, Oregon Coast Children's Center for the Arts. This is their end of 2024 restoration work report and financial summary.
Did the council receive the pictures that we gave you?
Yeah. Yes, we had them in our packet.
new one, so. Anybody back there wants to take a peek? These are images that were just taken, like no more than 2 days ago. I wanted to give an update on the current condition of the mural.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm Lawrence Adrian. I'm artistic director and CEO of the Theater and the Arts Center. And we used to be based out of Toledo. We now have a home base of operations in Tillamook at the Fairview Grange. We were at the Alala Center for 13 years. And when they started to make changes in 2020, just before the pandemic, they told us we had to move because they were growing. But unfortunately, the pandemic, of course, you might know, killed Alala Center with all the funding cuts and everything else. We just finished restoration of the Circle Center mural for the Arc, which we originally created in 2014 while we were in residence at Alala. We had to change all the names, entrance titles, painted a couple new characters, things like that. So, I mean, even in Lincoln County, we have about 23 works of art that we've created. The Centennial Celebration mural, which we originally made in 2005, that's still the largest public work of art we have ever created. And I told Sharon Brandstetter at the time, if we could create this, we could create anything. Because it worked with over 1,000 volunteers, all the kids in all the schools, and had the most incredible community support of any project that I've ever worked on. So, and those of you that knew Sharon, and people like Celeste and things like that, know how supportive the community here is of arts and working with the community. In fact, that was the reason that we were in Tillamook County and Lincoln County. We were in Lincoln City, and we actually chose to move to Toledo because of not only that project, but the support that we had got from Sharon and all of the city people and everything else. We had never seen a city in the state that had that much support for the arts. So I want to thank the city for making us feel at home and allowing us many years of doing projects. I told Sharon originally when we built the mural that we could probably do restoration work for probably 5 years after the original cost of the project. We didn't receive that much money for it. The majority of the money that we received was all donated art supplies by persons and people here in the city. At that time, I don't think any city funds were even spent on the project. It was all donated revenue from different businesses and GP and things like that. I know when you were talking to the councilman that was just sworn in, there were people that complained when we built the mural that they were spending city funds
I know.
on a work of art. And Sharon used to argue profusely with people and let them know that it was all donated. In fact, over $3,000 worth of purchased tile from Home Depot that was individual people buying boxes for the project. So it was definitely an interesting project. We have 165 works of public art that we have created in our 35 years. This year we celebrate our 35th year. And of all the projects we've done, it's still a great measure of pride for me. Every time I get up on that wall and I start cleaning or doing work to it. The one thing that we have found over the last few years is that That's, if nothing else, you can give that to Rod and he can keep it.
Thank you very much.
We have, for some reason, really strange things that happen here. Part of it is we've noticed over the years that the parking lot always has lichen and moss growing on it. And because it's always breeding here, because we live in a temperate rainforest, it loves the mural. It just absolutely loves the mural. The pictures that you saw, especially of detailed characters like Henry Fonda and Paul Newman and things like that, the guy that we call the brawny man, I think I've had to shave him about 10 times just with the different moss that grows on him. When you have really tiny little pieces of tesserae, which is tiny, the Italian word for tile, the lichen just seems to love glomming on to that grout. And because it grows so profusely here in our temperate climate, it's a challenge. That mural was clean by July.
I remember.
No lichen on it at all. I mean, we had power washed it, scrubbed it, scraped it, put moss killer on it. I put Roundup on it. I mean, I had it totally clean. And those pictures that I just show you how much it's coming back.
Yeah.
So it's almost a yearly process. At the beginning of this year, I went through cancer treatment that I've been going through for probably the last 15 years. It's not an aggressive cancer, it's thyroid cancer, but I won't be here forever. The one recommendation I was going to make to the city, and we talked about this originally, even when Mayor Rod worked with us on the planters, that was the second project that we did. In fact, I think the last time I saw you, you were working on a boomer. Was that what might be needed in the future? We had one for a little while when Celeste was here. We had an arts council or an arts advisory group.
Right.
That still might be something, especially because Toledo has seemed to glom on to the idea of the arts and visual arts as a signature thing for the city. To protect all of the works of art that are being built in the city and maintained in the city, that might be a usable thing in the future, to have a group of artists or community volunteers that are willing to go out there and clean and maintain and repair and just take care of some of the works of art. Because I was on the City of Newport's advisory council for 8 years, started under Frank Geltner and then went in when Catherine was there. And we made recommendations to the City of Newport regarding all of their regulations regarding public art and things like that. And that was one thing they had constantly, was professional artists that came in and advised the city on what to do on this and what to do on that. I mean, the work on the wall especially is not rocket science, but it does require a knowledge of product, cleaning methods. One time the city maintenance crew came through and they power washed the tiles and they blew off like 8 square feet of tile.
I remember that.
Yeah, so you got to know what you're doing, and you got to know that when you're working on mosaic, it is a very fragile art form. It can last for hundreds of years, but you still got to take care of it.
Right.
One of the things that we have done over the years is we've changed what we're doing when we do restoration. The original mural was completely done with ceramic tile. Now, when we do restoration, we're almost replacing most of the tile with slate and porcelain. And we're using water-based resistant adhesives like subfloor adhesive when we attach the tiles to the wall. There was one mistake made when we originally built the mural. Sharon told me that they sealed the wall. They did not seal the wall. So one of the problems we've had since its original construction is that sometimes the water perforates through the concrete and pushes in on the adhesive and the tile and actually pushes it out. So if you look up on the wall and you see like a little white spot, that's where the glue is actually being liquefied and pushed through the grout. And then you have a white stain that's on the top of the tile and you have to clean it with acidic cleaners and things like that. So those are some of the challenges of that particular wall. And I will tell you, of all the works of art that we've created, this is the only one that I spend the majority of my time working on, because I have schools all over the state and national parks and everything else that we've done, and we do not have the same problems on those works of art that we have on that wall. So I appreciate the council giving us funds at the beginning of this year, and I appreciate you guys giving us funds last year. We spent over the amount that you gave us, and we're still giving. I don't know if you saw this image, but this is being donated to the library. And we started it with a summer reading program, making two different stepping stones. And then my education director, Dina Kirk, she donated a bench. And we presented that to Harrison. We haven't put it in yet. We're waiting for the Harrison and the city maintenance crew to talk to us about when they can do it. I know right now they've been working on all the walkways for the library. So I'm assuming hopefully by spring. So anyway, the images I gave you, those will show you the areas that we're going to work on repair. I think one of the only issues we've really had is that since we built the wall in 2005, we've had 4 colors that have gone extinct. And we all bought Doll tile, which is a really nice exterior Mexican tile. But there's 4 of the colors, which are predominant colors, including the light blue, that are no longer manufactured by Doll. We did some restoration down on the planters across street between Highway 20 and A. And we can no longer get the light blue, which is called blueberry. And we had to go with a new type of tile that's called electric blue, which is as close as we could come, but it's a little bit lighter. The orange tile also that we use, you can see it especially on the picture that I gave you. This orange tile, it's called cinnamon. It's no longer made. There's a bottle green color that is no longer made. And unfortunately, the cinnamon and the orange color, which is right here, the reason that has not been repaired is because we can't find a matching color. And I've gone through 18 different tile companies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you literally have to repair and restore and rip out square feet by square feet by square feet of tile just to fix those particular sections. So I think that's the only challenge that I've really had is those particular colors. And what I'm going to plan on doing this year is we're probably going to switch over to slate and just go with a brown slate, because I can find brown slate, but I just can't find a ceramic tile that is that particular color. So those is the plans. The only other thing that the money you gave us that we did not spend yet, we still have held on to about $400 for glass. Because when we built the original flower basket, that was donated artwork by 12 different artists around the country that Celeste found for us. And it was just an amazing amount of donated art by all these different fused glass artists from all around the country. And the other person that helped was Lynn Bishop, who used to be one of the teachers here in Toledo. Unfortunately, one of the problems we have is the glass pansies that she made are all faded now. They've just been bleached out in the sun for the last 20 years.
Right.
So I did all the ceramics. They're still holding up, but we have to redo those particular glass flowers, and we're going to reconfigure the whole flower basket, hopefully by this summer, and add in new coloration for it so it's just as bright and pretty as it was when we first built the mural.
That's good.
So those is the plans. Any questions?
Any questions, council? So after the first of the year, we're going to try and get a push back on Art Toledo and get it back up and running and as vibrant as we can. And we want to include a lot of volunteers in that because of the amount of murals and such that we've got going on. I would love to rope you into that, and so that you'll have more manpower to work with on a volunteer basis to get
It's not
that
just so
done.
much manpower as I would, if you could find even just one or two dedicated people that I can spend time with and train them how to do the process.
That would be perfect.
Yeah. Then you have people on city, maintenance don't have to go like, what the heck do we do? You know,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Good.
Okay.
We'll make that a priority. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thanks, Rob.
I appreciate it. All right, our next item is from Scott Edwards Architecture, a presentation of potential plans for the new Civic Center.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give a brief introduction and then I'll invite Tim and Sander from Scott Edwards to come up to this table. They've got some displays that they'll be referencing during their presentation, and I will move there for a short time. So as I shared with council at your last meeting, we had a presentation from these gentlemen at a management meeting a few weeks ago where they provided three preliminary floor plans for the Civic Center building. And those floor plans included an option of fitting within the current physical structure of the building, an option that had a small physical addition, and then an option C that included a larger physical addition. And what the different options really gave us were we could basically, under the existing floor plan, we could fit everything that we minimally needed. And then the options with varying sizes of additions gave us the flexibility to have increased meeting space, as an example, and a few other things. So we were able to give feedback as the staff to those first options, and these guys did just an amazing job of refining what they heard from us and coming back at a meeting just a couple weeks ago, a second management meeting with some updated floor plans. And they're here tonight to present the three updated options that they presented to the staff at that second meeting, plus an additional option that I'll be passing out a hard copy to you each in a moment. So with the refined floor plans that they presented at that second management meeting, again, we had an option that fit within the physical structure of the current building. With the second option, what they did was eliminate the smaller physical addition and added in a second elevator to the building. That option allows for the current elevator to be behind and within the secure section of the police department and have a second public elevator. And then the third option basically added council chambers as an additional physical addition to the building. The limitation that we had with that third option as it was initially presented was the police department took up the entire south portion of the building except the elevator. The elevator was accessible to the public, but you had to exit the building, come around the outside, and enter a lobby around the elevator so that you weren't passing through the secure police department. So once we talked about the option of adding a second elevator, and I forgot to mention a moment ago, part of the swapping out of those two, the small physical addition for the second elevator, those two things are roughly about the same cost. So it really made more sense to look at a second elevator for accessibility. So what I asked these guys to do after that second management meeting was to go back to their office and look at an opportunity if the council decided to pursue the larger structure option, put in a second elevator so that there was a public access to the elevator without having to exit the building and re-enter from a different location. So I'm going to come up to the dais in a second and pass out these physical copies that you previously received via email from me, the document that had the three floor plans most recently presented. This document adds in what they refer to as option C2, which is the larger physical building with the second elevator. So I'm going to bring those up to you in a moment, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sander and Scott, who are, Sander and Tim, who are here with us in the chambers this evening. At the conclusion of their presentation, I will then bring up to you, they've put together some preliminary cost ranges for each of the options. We're going to ask council to identify, I would prefer one or two of the floor plans for them to then go back and come up with a specific, well-researched, like these are research, don't get me wrong, but a really in-depth pricing analysis on the one or two options that you prefer for the city to be able to go to the state legislature in the next legislative session with a funding request. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these up to you now, and then I'll invite these gentlemen up.
If these, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean anything to me in terms of what the overall cost would be. So one is the same as the other, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna let these guys give you descriptions and answer your questions about the floor plans, and then I'm gonna bring you their cost estimates, and you can compare what those are to what you have in your hand. So guys, let me just go ahead and clear off this table really quick, and you can come up right here. All right, Sander and Tim from Scott Edwards Architecture.
For the introduction that Rich gave, half of our work is done already.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you.
I just want to say thank you very much for having us. It's great to come out to Toledo. Sandra and I are also worked with the pool board on the plans and the designs for the new aquatic center as well. So we've both spent quite a bit of time out here and meeting with staff from all the different projects, spending time with the PD staff, touring, spending time with the city hall staff. And and our office actually did the drawings originally. Trent, another one of our compatriots, for the original renovations of the building, the Civic Center building, to make sure that it wasn't going to fall down and fill up with water since it had been, sitting on its own. So we've been meeting with all the staff, and we had a public meeting, sort of brainstorming different ideas of how the building could be used. And I think really because both the city hall, since the police department is not only non-seismically reinforced, but also down in the floodplain, and then the city hall is non-seismically reinforced old Art Deco building, it really made the most sense to get your primary services out of the buildings that they're in now and into that building. And so the work that we've been doing is really to try and figure out how to get both the city hall and the police department to coexist within this one space, in the sort of the half second floor, the main first floor, and the lower level. And with all the different processes that the police needs, the needs for the city council, the needs for the public to come in, and trying to really get this all to work. And it's been really a good back and forth with staff, because we've had the original set of plans. We got feedback from all the staff in person. And then we had another set of drawings that we presented to all of them on Zoom, and got more feedback and sort of more dialed in. And then we had another round with Rich before we came up with the set of drawings that you have now. And Sander has been doing most of the work on this, and he's done a really amazing job threading the needle to get all of the different things that not only all the spaces that everybody needs, but the adjacencies. Like, one space has to be next to another space. This is how the police department works, both bringing people in and the officers coming and going. And then another component to that is, you'll see with the site plans, is really trying very hard to make the site not only work from a public standpoint, like this building feeling like a public civic building. So when the public comes here to come into the lobby, to go to the city council meetings, they feel like they're they feel like they're coming to this building, which really, you can tell immediately when you come up to it. It is sort of the heart of the city, the main public building. But also to get it to work for all of the layers of security requirements for the police department. And not only in the building, but also on site as the police come in and out with their vehicles, and they need to, and they, if they bring people in and bring them into the building, they don't want to be on display for everyone. And you have the main street coming up right there. So trying to get all of those different things to work. And the vertical circulation, like Rich mentioned, has really been sort of the kicker to try and get that to work, because you have the elevator at one end of the building. So how do you divide up and still be able to get everyone to down into the lower level? And then getting that lower level to really be an inhabitable space that your staff is going to want to go down to and spend their day in. Those have all been sort of the things that we've been working on and trying to finesse. And so, like Rich said, our goal is to show you these iterations, and then hopefully we can pick one that you'd really like to sort of go forward with. We'll end up with a one floor plan, one site plan, another round of the estimation, and then some renderings, like an exterior rendering that you can use to fundraise, you can use to show the public like what the plans are. And we'll do that with that one sort of final option, and then come back to you. I think December 17th is our plan, which is your next meeting. So we'll have that final iteration and the rendering then. But now I will let Sandra take you through the drawings.
Is it all right if I step up and point things out as I talk?
Tim, if you'll turn the microphone that way so that it picks up Sanders' words, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, so as mentioned before, I'm going to be presenting 3 options, and then the third one has another subversion of it. And for each of these, we have a zoomed out site plan, and also the main floor, second floor, and basement. So just starting off on the site plan for option A, this option puts the police department on the main floor towards the western side. And so they have, in all of these site plans, I'm showing the hatched area as their secure parking area. So that will be surrounded by a fence with automatic gates so they can quickly enter and exit from it. And then the police also have a number of site equipment needs, emergency generator, or likely diesel, a decontamination area, a flammable evidence storage cabinet that needs to be outside, and then also exterior storage container. And that's shown as this Connex little rectangle there. So getting into option A, the police are on the west edge of the building. And so they kind of have this whole west edge of the site where they can enter and exit directly into their secure parking area. And then the city hall and council chambers are in the northeast corner of the building. And actually, they kind of occupy that area in all of these schemes because it's a nice tall space in that existing building for the council chambers to be in, and also easy for the public to get into. And then the city hall staff have a small portion of space on the main entry level where their public facing staff would be located, such as accounts payable and the planning folks as well. And then for all of these, as Tim mentioned, we're thinking about how to create something that's a little bit more stately, a little bit more welcoming for the public also. As you all know from that existing building, it's facing away from the street, unfortunately. So you come into the parking lot and then it's facing towards you away from the street. So we're trying to think of ways to still make it feel like when a resident is going there, they're going into a special important place. So in all of these schemes, we found a small spot for a little public plaza, and that could have some benches, maybe a covered canopy, a flagpole, and then a nice entry into the public lobby.
We're thinking if you guys had like a Christmas tree at the city hall, or if you had some sort of a harvest festival event or a spring event or summer, something like that, we're accommodating an outdoor component to the city hall. Or if there's like, I know another project I'm on right now in Tigard, the city hall and the public works has a big day where they have, you know, the police cars are out and the kids can come and like see them, and so we're trying to make sure that we're accommodating that kind of thing as well.
And I will just add really quick, Sandra mentioned the secure parking area. You'll note that the north end off of the Northeast Second Avenue is both an entrance and exit point from the secure parking lot. The south end of the property, Northeast First Avenue, has the sloped ramp at that point. So in this iteration, that is exit only to avoid some of those potential scrapages coming up that ramp. And then I'll just point out also on the visual site plan, what you'll notice as a conference room, and I'm sure Sandra was going to get into the color coding. Green is police, yellow is city hall, and blue is public and or shared space. The conference room that's in the middle of the room that would be for council executive, or excuse me, in the middle of the building would be council executive sessions as well as staff and public use. That's marked as blue on the floor plan. It's marked as green on the vertical space or the vertical view perspective that you have of that same floor plan. So yeah, site plan. Thank you. So just wanted to let you know that is indeed, there's just a color variation there, but that is the same use in both spots. And I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No, that's a great clarification. It could be shared, but yeah, we've primarily been coloring it as blue to show that it's for the city council executive sessions. So let me hop into the floor plans. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what individual room is what. We did go into a lot of detail with the staff about that in the police department, but I'll keep it a little more high level for all of you. So as you enter, you'd come into the public lobby here, and both the city hall and the police department have their own windows where they can separately interact with the public. That was a special request from the police department that they want an area where they can have people come out of the lobby into kind of a separate, more soundproof private area to talk individually with the police reception. So as you come in, the police, separate police lobby would be straight ahead of you, and then there'd be a small reception counter for the city hall staff where they could talk to accounts payable or the planner. And then to your right, when you're in the lobby, you'd go into the council chambers, and that has a dais for 7 and a number of seats for the recorder, and then similar accessory spaces like a small coffee counter, AV, and a little storage area. And then another one of the things we discussed a lot with Rich and the team is kind of the flow from the council chambers to the conference room where the council could have their executive sessions. And so in some of these, that procession is private, where the council could exit straight out of the dais and go to that chamber, or go to that area, excuse me. And in some of these, you'd still have to come back into the lobby, but then you'd go back into the private kind of secure conference room. But in all of these, the council can exit from behind their dais for security reasons. Straight out, either into a secure area or to the outside.
I've never had those before, security reasons.
It's always nice to have.
It's also for the judge, that process back and forth is for city council members if they need to egress.
It's not us you're
or the
worried
judge.
about. Okay. It's the judge, we get it, that's who the troublemaker is, all right.
Are we saving all of our questions for the end, or?
All right, I'll shut up.
No, what I was going to suggest is,
Was that a question?
is it specific to this plan?
Not specific to this plan, but to while we're talking about council chambers extensively was all. So I didn't want to enter.
Why don't we let them get through, and then, because it's a generic question, not site plan specific, that's.
And then for the police, in all these schemes, basically the public facing elements are the police lobby, they have their reception window, and then they have a small interview space where they can, they come from one side and the public comes from the other side, and they can meet in that interview room to have a private discussion. And then also in all of these schemes for the police, we've given them this existing back door where they can bring someone directly into a holding cell. And then they can also make use of this lovely bank vault, which is existing in the building. And it's a perfect evidence storage area because that needs to be very secure, obviously. Going down to the basement, as I said, I won't go into too much detail, but in this scheme, the police have the whole basement space, which gives them a spacious area for their officers' desks. And then there's a number of private offices for the police chief, the sergeant, and functions like that, a locker room, a break room, and then some other accessory kind of spaces as well. And then in this scheme, the remaining city hall administrative areas are upstairs. So they can have use of the elevator and the stairs to get up there. And that's where the city recorder, IT, public works director, HR, a flex office for the mayor and planner, and the city manager, and then as well as a break room for them and a small conference room. I don't know if you all have been upstairs in that space, but it's a really nice space for offices. There's a lot of big windows, a lot of natural light. That's kind of all I was gonna go into in the floor plan, so this might be a good opportunity for questions.
Really quickly, before you do, Sander, if you would, because there's a lot of personnel that would be in the basement in this plan. If you can speak to the window wells and what those provide to the basement.
Yes, thank you. So this was one of the big hurdles of this building is there's enough offices that we can't get them all on the main floor and upper floor. So without expanding the building, some offices, either from the city hall or the police, need to end up in the basement. And so what we've done is carved out some window wells where you could bring in light into the offices. And when we say window well, you might be thinking of the small thing that you have at your house where it's this tiny window up high, but these could be actually quite deep, and you could have large windows and the opportunity for a little bit of landscaping in there, so it feels really nice for the people who are working there. We also have a version of that in the next scheme as well.
One thing I'll point out with this version also is that the police on level 1 will have to exit their secure space to get to the elevator to go down. So if they have someone in a wheelchair or they have, a dolly with a bunch of documents or something like that, they would need to go out of the police department to get to the elevator to go down. And that's really one of the main reasons why we, in the next iteration, added an elevator. Because there was really, we had so many iterations, and there was really no way to be able to get both the city hall and the PD to be able to access all 3 floors with just the one elevator without having to have, the best case scenario was the police leaving their secure zone, because you can't bring the city hall staff into the secure police zone to get to that vertical circulation. The police were just like, that doesn't work. So this was the solution in this iteration for that.
You will note that the stairwell, as it's split, the side that would go down to the police lower level is within their secure wall on the main floor, and then the one that would go up to City Hall offices is outside. So they did a really good job incorporating that. So yeah, as Tim said, that becomes an issue for people with ADA issues, or if you have a large heavy load of records, materials, other things that need to go downstairs. But we can put in the elevator itself, we can put an electronic system that you can only go to the basement with a card that has been given access to that. So we can still secure access to the basement.
Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, my question was kind of general around council chambers. In all of the variations, all of the floor plans that I see, There's clear space kind of considered for storage for the audience, for the dais, as well as space for the city manager and the city recorder. There's no clear place or even seemingly space for where the public would participate in public comment. So there's no kind of podium, no kind of chair desk situation like we have now.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wanted to know if that was something that had just been overlooked, that we've got to figure out a way to factor it in to make sure that there's considered space for all of that.
Sorry, there's no room, no more public comment.
No public comment. That's a great look.
No, I was just gonna say, I saw that,
Yeah.
and so what I was thinking of is that we just put in a podium for people to come up to.
Yes, oh no, I agree, but I was also looking at, when I look at the plans for how much space was being factored for the different things, I also recognized that there was no space that seemed physically large enough to accommodate an addition in any of the versions that we're looking at, because there's only, say, when you look at, say, the relative size of a space for a chair, that's not necessarily going to be a space that's going to be comfortable for a person to come forward and speak at a podium and have more than, say, shoulder to shoulder space.
Yeah.
That's all I was thinking.
So all of these, they are tight, and especially when we're not doing a physical addition onto the building. I would say, it'd likely be a podium to the south end in this scheme.
Right.
And then in the addition area, in the addition option, option C, I think I did a kind of a more separate area for.
Yes, you do.
So that's one of the things that the addition gets with the spacious. I will move on to option B unless there's any more questions on this one. So for option B, one of the real drawbacks we were seeing with that one was just that really big bar of the police inhabiting the western edge of the site. And they would presumably have a site obscuring fence to give them privacy and a little bit more security for their.
Option A, you mean?
Yeah, for option A. So what we wanted to show in option B is another strategy for the site. And so in this one, the police inhabit the south end of the building. They take their secure parking to either side of that, kind of along the southern strip. And one thing that was pointed out to us that's really nice about this scheme is that a lot of the foot traffic coming down from JC Market, that's the correct?
Yep, that's it.
Yep. They would be coming down from the north, and then this area also kind of opens up to the street and from where the foot traffic would be coming from. And so that creates a kind of a more welcoming scheme than option A. I think that's most of the notable things on the site here. Again, we have a nice public plaza oriented more to the north in this scheme. And then you'll also see there are window wells in this scheme, but they've been, the western one has been expanded a little bit more to include stairs also coming up out of the basement to make that a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, this scheme, not only does it put all of the police parking, and well, the whole police department on the south end, but it completely separates the whole like police experience and the police parking from the city hall parking, which the police chief was really happy with.
Yeah, so there's a nice landscape buffer that could kind of hide the fence and not make it feel so harsh coming along that area. So jumping into the floor plans, similar to the last scheme, you'd come into the lobby in the same area it is now, and then also turn to the right and have the council chambers. In this scheme, as I mentioned, the council chambers would be able to exit directly out into a secure area from the back. And then this is also the scheme where we add in an elevator. So that would be the way that the council could go down to the basement into a very spacious conference room. And that's a table for 14. So plenty of space in there with a counter and storage also. And then the other thing that this bought, adding the elevator, is you've got a more spacious area for the police on the south end. And so they have their interview room, a police lobby, and then they also have a locker room in this scheme on the main floor. So they can kind of easily and quickly use that on the way in and out to their secure parking area. And then for the city hall staff in the yellow, it's a pretty similar number of spaces as the previous scheme. It's the public facing accounts payable clerk, the planner, and the finance director, similar to the last scheme. Going down to the basement, so in this scheme, the city hall staff has a large basement suite. They have an elevator that gets them down there, as well as the existing stairs at the north end of the building. And then you've got all of the administrative staff, the manager, recorder, IT, a mayor with a dedicated office, and then a larger public works director office where there's kind of an extra table there as well for someone who's working in there. And then as part of this, as I mentioned, you've got this enlarged window well so that they have their own stairway to get out. So that's a nice security feature and just a nice way of bringing in more light and giving them some independence to enter and exit. Going back to the police, so in this scheme, the police have the southern edge of the main floor, and then they also have the second floor upstairs. As I mentioned before, great spot for offices. They have their open officers' desks, sergeant, chief, and a nicely sized break room up there. I think that's all the main points on option B here. Any questions that you have on this? Okay, I will move on to option C. So option C has the large addition. So we're going no addition, option A. Option B has the elevator added, and then option C has an addition added onto the north end. And the reason we've put it coming off the north end here is that if you can envision the existing building that has that shed roof that's high and it faces to the west, and if we thought that if you kind of continue that same volume, you could make it look really natural and still have a kind of high, nice welcoming area for the council chambers if you wanted to do an addition. So that's a natural spot for that. As far as the site layout for option C, it's pretty similar to option B. Again, the police have the southern with their 2 secure parking areas. In this option, we've also made 2 small new entries on the east edge coming off the parking areas. So since we were kind of moving the whole public area up to the north, there's a new vestibule there where the public could enter and then go right into the city hall. And then in this scheme, the city hall staff, I'll move over to the floor plans here. Since we have more space on the main floor, we're able to get all of the offices on the main floor. So that's both for the city hall staff has all the offices together, no division between the floors. So they got their public facing accounts payable, finance director, planning, and then all of the individual offices I mentioned before together in that suite. And then they also have the shared conference room for the city council kind of in the heart of their space, so they can use that on a day-to-day basis. The police, pretty similar to the last scheme, have the south end with their public facing areas. The second floor have spacious office areas, but then as Rich mentioned, the tough part about this scheme is that to allow ADA access for the city hall staff into the basement, they need to have access to that elevator. So unfortunately, we had to carve out a small area for the elevator, for elevator access.
Semi just try to go up that hill. Guaranteed.
Semi-drag, yeah.
So that's the downside of this scheme.
That's basically what ends up if you have one elevator. No matter how big, what we add on.
So, I'm sorry,
Rick's gonna go check it out.
Good exit time.
I think it's a good breakdown.
I don't have Facebook, don't worry.
Good
to see you, Rick.
Yes.
Okay,
And then there's an iteration with the same plan that has an elevator.
okay, and then with the add-on that you spoke of,
Mhm.
what, can this floor plan exist without the add-on? I don't read blueprints.
Yeah, it's very similar to option B without the addition.
Okay,
But you just don't have enough space to get all of the city hall staff up on the main floor. So that's the scheme where they've got a lot of offices down in the basement.
I mean, basically, the city council chambers is the addition,
gotcha, okay,
this iteration.
okay.
Yeah, so it's this big bar sticking out.
I mean, City Hall and PD could probably function without that addition, but you would lose the whole city council chambers and the
Gotcha, okay,
judge space,
Okay.
the court.
thank you.
So let me just flip quickly to option C.2. And that is the one that Rich tasked us with addressing this little bubble of the city hall sitting in the police area. And so if you add an elevator, similar to where it was located in option B, then you get the full 88 access to the basement without the city needing to come down and use that elevator. So they have a self-contained way for the council and the city hall to get down to the basement, use the conference room and a break room area as well.
And that elevator would never go up to the second floor, right?
Right, that's just basement, first basement. Yeah. And that's the conclusion of our options. Happy to answer any more questions.
I would just, before we dive into council questions, I would just like to kind of reiterate, as I mentioned earlier, all of the plans that you have in front of you this evening, council, have had a very, I would say, very thorough review by your both city hall and your police staff. And from where they came originally, very, very good ideas did the first round. As I mentioned earlier, these guys heard our feedback. When they came back with the second round, every one of these floor plans, staff was very comfortable bringing forward to your consideration. So they've been reviewed by your administrative staff, your police staff, and what you have in front of you. Everybody was comfortable saying, "Okay, bring them to the council." So these guys really heard us and brought back things that worked for everybody. So just wanted to give them those kudos. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about, let's see, option B, where the offices are mainly in the basement. What kind of lighting is there? Because, I mean, the one that sounds idyllic is where the offices get the windows.
Yeah, so in option B,
The window wells.
it's the window wells bringing in light at the edges,
That's it?
and that's it.
Well, it's window wells, bring light at the edges. We also will have offices that are interior and have their front face would be glass. So that any sort of natural daylight that's coming into the central space, they'll borrow that. And then we would, the space right now is pretty low, but there's like a good 18 inches of space above
Okay,
the
gotcha.
ceiling. So we would really work hard to get any ducts and mechanical stuff to go around sort of the perimeter rooms to get as much height as you could. And then we would work a lot with the lighting and the lighting designer to make sure that like the quality of light, the artificial light is approximating, daylight as much as we could. And
Well, I just wonder, the city manager, is your team solar powered? I I just think
I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the ducks marching around the building.
that would suck.
Not around the building, around spaces. Like a buffer.
No,
She said ducks.
DUCKS.
Yes.
So council, at this time, I'm going to come up and bring you the pricing. Each option that you've been presented tonight has an estimated price range with a high and a low. So as I mentioned earlier, what we're really going to be looking for from you this evening is direction on one or two of these floor plans. Maybe you pick one of within the existing structure, and if you want to know more about one of the expansions, that's kind of up to you, but kind of give you an idea of what we're looking for from you, so these guys can then take one or two of those and bring you a really refined pricing estimate. So I'm going to bring these up to you now, as that kind of will inform the continuation of this discussion.
Like Rich mentioned, when we first started this, there was like everything in the building with no additions option. There was a little addition option, and then there was a large addition option. And knowing that with a large addition, there comes the price tag with it. I would say on our end that version is probably fairly academic, but we fleshed it out to the best we could, working with staff and working with Rich. So, I mean, the necessity of the extra elevator to really get the building to work seems pretty clear. And from our standpoint, I think that option B sort of threads that needle in the middle, and it really gets you the most usability from the building. And it also is able to move the police so that's really cleanly stacked on the south end and gives them the south end of the site, which enables the whole building to be, on the street in a much nicer way, because you have to really surround the building and the police parking that will have to be, secure. In option A, that was the thing that we were struggling with in option A. So there's a lot of things that function better and read as a civic building better with option B.
And in that original option B that had the smaller physical addition, that was about 400 square feet. And what we were kind of operating on as a very rough number was $600 per square foot. So that would have come out to about $240,000 additional cost for that addition, whereas an elevator is probably about $250,000. So those two were they basically offset each other. And so the additional flexibility that the elevator gives versus a small physical addition really made sense, to your staff as we looked at initial option B versus refined option B. So you've got the pricing in front of you, and our professional consultants are available for any questions that any additional questions you may have.
You're pretty set on the how the spaces throughout. This is across all of the options we're looking at, on how the spaces are identified for what they're going to be used for.
They're tagged to a specific person for each one of those spaces. Yeah, we're working with all the staff for PD and City Hall.
So I'm only speaking to my own sort of experience here, but we have a variance across the different options, but regardless, I think my comment, question, suggestion holds for all of them. The space that's identified as mayor or mayor/flex/planning, I'm wondering if we're going to have a space like that, if it could be purely flex with the intention, whether it is individually the mayor or mayor shared with something else, for council. As much as I appreciate the mayor as, say, the political figurehead of the city, I also recognize that there have been a lot of times in this last year where members of the community have reached out seeking meetings with me, where there have been times that I've wanted to have a private conversation with CIS about questions that I have about various liability factors that we were facing, or if there was ever going to be that one-to-one conversation or small conversation that I need to have with our city attorney or something like that. Having a private space that is meant more flexibly for city council as a whole to use when a city council member might need a space, rather than kind of say, setting it up specifically to the mayor's, individual.
Can I speak to that? So as a person who's been at this for a little while, it's nice to have in my own office. But it's more to have office hours. Okay, more to be able to say, I will be in the office X days at these hours.
Yeah.
And have an office to come to, which is something I haven't had. I always love it when you take a Zoom call in my home and they're like, well, how come you don't blur everything out? Well, because my office is my living room, because I don't have a room for this. A flex space is, I mean, that's why I am all in favor of the flex, because I don't want to have to be there all day. I don't think any other mayor does. But to have a place that we can say, we can come in and we can do those meetings, whoever it is, right, is the way we need to go with that. Because I'm finding more and more people are like, what do you mean you don't have an office? And I'm like, I live in a town of 3,600 people.
And I think to your question, Councilor Keating, I think the title of in some of these plans with the mayor on it was just kind of a default. What you described was really what we were envisioning: a space with a desk and a chair, you know, an office chair behind it, a chair or two in front of it, kind of like you've sat in my office with me, you know, kind of a setup like that, where any one of you could come in, bring your council device or your, you know, you mentioned a Zoom meeting. You could, however, whether you wanted to do it on yours or a personal device, but you can bring in a device, have a desk in a space. But exactly as you said, it would be available to any of you. It would be available to our municipal court judge, our planner who comes in on Wednesdays. We've anticipated in these floor plans, and thank you guys for doing that, a space for them up front when somebody comes in with planning questions, but that gives them a space to go and you know, talk with a developer, a business owner, that kind of thing. So truly flex is what we were
I
envisioning.
love that, because I know Mayor Cross's family definitely roots for a different soccer team, and I like to make sure I've got mine in my
No,
background.
I only have one son that has fallen into the dark side. Only one. The rest of us are still American football.
So I just have a real simple question. What are all these Mercedes-Benz things in the green? What does that represent?
Trees.
Oh, is that what that is? I'm trying to figure out if it's like fans of some sort.
That's funny because I'm a Star Trek nerd, and the first time I looked at that, it looked like Deep Space Nine to me. So, you know, everyone has a different.
We're trying to make it clear that that would be a big enough space that it would really be landscaped. So when you look out the glass from the basement, you wouldn't feel like it was a window well. It would feel like a little courtyard almost, and it would be greening.
So I guess I'll go ahead and kick this off. I am very much in favor of option C2. I think it also allows for growth and allows for more flexibility with operations. And I want to remind the council that we are still going back with the ask to the Oregon legislature, and with the last fiscal report from the Oregon legislature, I think we got a good shot at it this year. But we also have dedicated urban renewal funds in our plan for this building. So we do have the ability within our own budgets to make that difference between what we ask of the legislature and what we have on our own. My second fallback position would be option B. But I'm very much in favor of option C2. And I'll open it up to everybody now.
I have a couple quick thoughts, hopefully quick thoughts. You guys might regret your decision here pretty quickly, but I'm encountering this conversation obviously in progress. And I think I probably have a little bit of a different perspective about this in general than maybe most or all of council. I think it would be terrible to have another vacant building on Main Street. I would be really interested, and again, the timing's atrocious, and so I totally understand if you guys want to continue the momentum, but I'd be interested in seeing an option that's just a police department, and maybe that makes some of the space constraints that you're up against a little bit easier. I think, as you think about approaching the legislature, having that option available might not be a terrible thing to have anyway. There are a lot of policy decisions between here and a finish line. I think it's important to be transparent about my perspectives, and that's my perspective.
So I will tell you two things that you're probably not privy to because you haven't been in all this stuff. Number one, that parking lot out there, according to DEQ, is leaking fumes that have been noticed to get in the building. They're not now, but they have been noticed to get in the building. And because of employee health and whatnot, we've gone through a lot of hoops with DEQ to try and figure out, will it ever come back in again? What's the process? So on and so forth. The second thing was mentioned at the beginning of their presentation. This building, with almost any size of earthquake, is going to be a pile where we are at. And this building has already been seismically retrofitted to 9 because it's going to be, it will be a police department at some point. And so this would allow for continuation of service in the event of that disaster occurring. And that's what's driving me. I understand what you're saying. It wouldn't be empty. We've already worked on a few things to do. For example, the History Center would love to move into this building and take up the first floor.
That would be another vacant storefront.
And I know Jim Ruggieri could fill that because he's never left it empty as long as I've seen him. And the other one is food pantry needs a bigger space. And that's what the council chambers would hopefully become, is the new food pantry. It has ADA access. It has a much better area for storage to keep it going. You know, there are, and because Charlie, that space will not stay empty because Charlie has plans for it. So as soon as food chair moves out, that one's going to be taken care of. But it's looking at the totality of it, because retrofitting this building would not only be a nightmare construction-wise, but there's no money available to retrofit a city hall. There was for a police station, and that's a whole nother can of worms I'll tell you about later. Andrew.
Yeah, I know folks on council have heard me say things along these lines too, just not on this particular topic, but I share Councilor Chambers' concerns about another vacant on Main Street. That's one of the more upsetting things every time we see another business close here. I think on one of my walks one night, I kind of took a moment and actually counted how many business addresses we have, including Main Street, or including City Hall on Main Street, and it was something around 40, 41, and only 18 were active at the time that I had done that. And I know there's been a bit of change, positive with Homey House opening up, others closing like Crow's Nest. But I do think that what's more important is figuring out strategies to bring foot traffic to Main Street. And I think that City Hall, to me, is one of those things that brings some foot traffic, not necessarily a ton, but some. I think that this space could potentially be better utilized, and yeah, we're going to have some challenges of that vacancy for probably a couple of years as we try to find a way to replace and grow foot traffic for Main Street, so that the businesses that do want to be here, the ones that want to open here, or the ones who are already here, have more customers coming to them. I think that this current facility, with time, with some retrofitting, can be more beneficial to Main Street as something else than it currently is as City Hall, simply because so few people come here for so few reasons. And if we could find a way to make this more of a community center, maybe more classrooms, more meeting spaces, or find a way that City Hall could potentially rent out space for co-working or business opportunities, or any number of things that we could turn it into both foot traffic for Main Street businesses that are here or want to be here, and maybe even as a revenue source for the city that's strapped for cash. I think this space, unfortunately, as much as I love it, and I would hate to see it go vacant, I also don't know that we're utilizing it as well as we could. It just means we're gonna have to spend a few years probably making conditions worse before we can start making them better. I really do appreciate, Eric, I do appreciate that perspective a lot, and I'm very grateful for you to have shared it, and glad to hear there's someone else thinking about this first day on the job.
He's been thinking about it longer than that.
What's the timeline on this?
Well, we're hoping to get our figures put together so that we can take an explicit plan and dollar figure to the legislature to have it funded. And we have to have that done by the end of this calendar year, not fiscal year. Because they go into special session at the end of January and go through February.
This is They've already decided.
This is the short session.
They've already made up their mind what they're gonna do in the 2026 session, and nothing new is added.
No, that's not true. I'm sorry, that is not true.
It's largely true.
Okay, they have, in the short session, each legislator gets to put in 2 bills. Okay, only 2 bills, and one of the ones that Representative Gomberg wants to do is a funding bill.
So
for
he's
public-
holding one.
He's holding his
Okay.
bill to have for public safety and civic improvements.
For Toledo.
He's trying to get a coalition because they cut all of those things out of the last one. And so he's trying to get all the people that had them on there before to get back on board so this can be put through and funded.
Okay, so next year, then what kind of time are we looking at?
So then you're looking at October for funding,
Okay,
and
and
then,
then,
we would probably be starting somewhere next fiscal year, once the funding is funded.
in 27?
Might even be the end of 26.
Okay, and how much time does a project like this take?
Of course, that'll really depend on, which floor plan we're looking at. And when the mayor says begin, that would be beginning the bidding process to identify the contractor, not necessarily
Not breaking.
breaking walls.
Okay.
But gentlemen, do you have a rough, kind of like you did with the pricing, a range maybe of time that a project like this would take once all the bidding is done?
Yeah, I mean, it also would depend on what process we do with the contractor. If we did design build, that makes the timeline shorter, but I would say there's probably, 6 to 8 months of like doing the construction permit drawings on our end. And, going back through with all the staff, making sure everything is totally dialed in.
And putting it
so-
out for bid?
Yeah.
So we're talking a few years.
We're talking probably 2 years out before we can break ground. Yes, that's the nature of the beast.
It can't be done next week.
No, the reason I asked is because I share Councilor Chambers' concern. And so that gives us a little time. It gives us some time.
We don't have much time if we're gonna get it funded, right?
No, I'm not talking about I'm talking about in terms of
Figuring out what to do next.
what our next move is.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Figuring out plans for City Hall before we actually vacate.
Or
Comes to
even speaking.
I like C and C2. The thing I don't like about B, and it just might be me, is that you've got offices for City Hall on first floor and basement, which separates our staff, which doesn't allow for more cohesive working. I like being able to
I
coincide.
do too, that's why C2 is my burden.
Me personally, it's the Cs, either one of the Cs, because it keeps our staff together instead of separating them.
And you kind of, I think, Councilor Sylvia, you hit the nail on the head. If we go with one of the plans that keeps within the floor plan, and we wanted to give you that option out of fiscal responsibility, but you're correct. There is no way to get all of the staff on one level on one of those plans. Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Okay.
My first thought choice would be C2, and my second would be much like yours. I really, it felt to me like option B was solving some problems with option A, and option C was trying to solve some problems in option B, and then option C2 seemed to just solve all the problems. So that's kind of where I was with it, going, oh, well, we fixed this and that one, and you fix this and that one, well, that's the one we want then. Which was option C2.
That's strategic.
Yeah. Blah, 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 but yeah, that. Birthday boy, which is your favorite option?
C2. I agree. It also, this is the one that comes closest to solving the problem of public comment in chambers. Because this is the one that actually has a bit more space, that has significantly more space dedicated to that chambers. Yeah, I think C2 by a mile. My biggest question was answered by Mayor Cross about the likelihood of funding. I say go after C2 if we feel confident that the funding is going to be there for it. But I think we also have to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success here. So if we are at all hesitant that we're going to get enough money to do the big, expensive, best option, then maybe we need to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for that higher risk of failure if we're not confident that the money will be there.
The other thing we haven't talked about is the site maps, because you've got to pick what site map we want too. I like,
No, there's site map, there's a
so
site
C
map.
goes with C2?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we had to pick individual ones. I really did not like B with that blocking it off with a big screen in front of the street.
I still want to know, do we get to choose what kind of ducks?
They're all mallards.
They're all.
Mallards was the one I was going with too. That's correct. Yeah. All of that, all day.
He's a cougar, he just likes to eat. All right, so are we essentially, do we have consensus on C2 as first option?
Jackie didn't say.
She hasn't talked
Yeah,
yet.
I'm okay with.
Okay. On any of the other options, which one would we prefer?
I'd say B.
I still stick with C just because I don't like staff being separated, but that's just me.
Okay.
I agree. Be cheaper.
B.
I'm good with going with whatever the council goes with, really.
I'm just trying to get some consensus. We got BC. Are you a C or a B?
C.
C, okay.
If we can't go for the dream, we might as well be realistic and stay with B.
Well, and
I'd
that's
say.
what I'm trying to work out here. So,
That's where I'm at.
okay.
So, question for Tim and Sander, the 2 weeks until the next meeting, do you guys, if we were to ask you to come back with a detailed price estimate for C2 and B, give council that information, do you guys think you have enough time to do cost for 2 options in 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, I think that the wrong cost that we did, it's all based on, I mean, we're doing sort of general cost for things like adding the elevator, number of windows that we're adding. If you
Yeah.
want a truly more detailed cost, I think we need to get an estimator.
Well, we need to get because we're going to present this entire thing to the legislature, we need to have as nailed down as it can get. It's probably the best way I can put it.
Just a quick suggestion on that. I mean, I think there's no drawback to asking the legislature for C2. I mean, you can always work with less, right? So I don't know that you need like a fallback
Okay.
necessarily. I mean, if the legislature awards you 4, then maybe it's time to have a discussion about value engineering
Right.
this in a different way.
Okay.
But I don't think that this is, in my experience, this is enough detail for the legislature to be very satisfied.
Well, I hope they listen this time.
I might
Just
not
do
go
C2.
that, but
I know, no, I understand.
strategically, I don't think it
understand.
hurts to ask for 6.8.
So then let's just get it on C2.
Okay, great.
That's what I said.
Council, good with that?
You guys good?
Yep. Excellent.
All right.
Gentlemen,
Thank you.
do you need anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Then, thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here in person.
Happy birthday, Andrew, apparently. Happy birthday.
You want to take a break? Okay, let's take a break. We'll take 5 minutes. 5? Yeah. Recess for 5 minutes. Call this meeting back to order. I'm going to reorder the decision items. Correction, we're going to do the discussion information item on the 2026 meeting calendar. Paul?
I just presented to the council the new meeting calendar for 2026. The only two meetings that appear to have any conflicts, just like this year, are the November 25th and December 23rd meetings. Yes, ma'am.
I may need to be excused from the January 7th meeting. If they won't let you come yet, I don't know. Having an ablation that day.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but I mean, I might be okay to come in, I don't know.
Any questions on this, council?
I think the spring conference, isn't that on a meeting date as well?
I'm not sure yet because we don't know exactly when that's going to be.
That's true.
So with the spring conference, it'll be in Pendleton, and it will, generally, the spring conferences are Thursday, Friday.
And they,
Not during the whole week.
Oh, okay.
They're a shorter conference.
Okay.
and I don't know how recently, Paul was correct, last time either of us looked, they hadn't released the dates yet. They have since, it's April 23rd and 24th, and as the mayor said, that's a Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
They have not announced the fall conference dates
No,
yet,
they
so
won't.
this year we had a conflict, we may again this year, but we don't know yet.
However, though, if we're having a meeting in Pendleton, we have to leave Wednesday, the 22nd,
Yes, and.
which is a conflict of the meeting. That's what I was
No,
going to say.
there are people like me that would just then get in my car after the meeting and drive to Pendleton. It's only 5 hours.
Well, not the rest of us are that dumb, so.
And there's people like me that it's going to take all day to get there.
Not when you get in my car.
Oh, shit. No.
Paul, if you'll make a note that there may be a conflict on the 22nd of April, please.
I will make note of that.
And you might want
All
to
right.
leave that last part out as well.
Yes, council, any other great comments? All right, thank you, Paul. All right, now on to decision items. I'm moving item B under decision items to the head of the line. That's the authorized expenditure of second payment to Homey House
How long do you think I was going to take with the first one? Jeez.
forever.
He knows me well. All right, let me jump to the different page now since the mayor's
58.
throwing things on me. I couldn't resist. All right, council, in front of you now as item A under your decision items is the request to authorize the expenditure of the second payment to Homey House. As you'll recall, council, and this may be new information for Councilmember Chambers, so I'll give a quick overview. At your August 27th work session meeting, you as a council discussed a proposal to provide funding support to the Homey House from your strategic reserve fund. At that meeting, council directed staff to draft a resolution to provide a contribution, an immediate contribution of $8,000 to the Homey House, with an additional $10,000 commitment to be used as a future match should the Homey House secure fundraising in a matching or exceeding amount. You passed that resolution through an RCA at your September 3rd meeting. On October 27th, Homey House executed a strategic reserve fund agreement with the city. A copy of that is in your packet. That agreement detailed the process that Homey House would go through to provide the documentation to show their fundraising efforts. On the 17th of November, that documentation was received and reviewed by myself. You'll see the copies of the checks provided in your packet. Homey House has received a grant from the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians in an amount of $4,759.73. They also showed 6 private donations. Copies of the checks, again, are in your packet. For the private donations, I redacted the identities of the donors out of consideration for their privacy. Those 6 donations totaled $8,000. So for those of you like myself that may be math challenged, that total shows a fundraising effort by the Homie House of $12,759.73. Though all of those contributions were received by the organization subsequent to your approval on September 3rd of the funding plan. So the documentation is presented to you this evening to verify, for you to be able to verify that your requirements were met. And the recommended motion in your packet is to accept the documentation provided by the Homie House demonstrating their commitment of donations and grant funds of at least $10,000, and to authorize the staff to execute the expenditure of your previously dedicated matching funds of $10,000. That concludes my report, and I am available for any questions you may have.
Council?
When I had suggested to council that we split the amounts being offered to include a matching request, matching challenge, I had all the faith in the world that Tyler and his team were going to reach it very quickly. 3 months to the day, fantastic work. I just want to make sure that I said that before I very gladly said that I move to accept the documentation provided by the Homie House demonstrating the commitment of donations and/or grant funds of at least $10,000 and authorize the expenditure of previously dedicated matching funds of $10,000 to said recipient.
I'll second that.
Any comments before we move to a vote?
I'll just briefly take the opportunity to thank Tyler for being here. I know you probably would rather be a few blocks down that way than in this room, but you're doing some pretty cool stuff, dude. And I told you that privately, but I haven't had the opportunity to tell you that from this dais, and I couldn't support what you're doing more. It's the most important thing happening in our community right now, and I don't mean that lightly. You're changing lives, and it's awesome. So thanks for what you do, dude.
I publicly also would like to say thank you. I appreciate Andrew Keating's, Councilor Keating's happy birthday. Yeah, I really appreciate the match campaign. It puts a tremendous amount of responsibility on me to not fail, and I think that can be very overwhelming at times. But the beautiful, to kind of dovetail on what Eric said in his comment to you guys, that this is the most amazing community, and there is a tremendous amount of support that I have. So I'm happy and honored to share that responsibility with our community. This is a community issue. And I just want to give you a quick update. We've had 66 kids come into the Homie House in the last 2 months. And of those 66 kids, they've come in almost 400 times. We've given out almost 400 meals. I think we're at 389 meals to those kids, food and swag. And it is a safe place. That's 400 kids that are choosing to choose something other than going up in the woods and tying one on or driving drunk. And so it is a safe place. And that culture that we're creating down there, that family, that bond is anecdotal. But there's a lot of qualitative data that we're collecting that is, the return on investment is there. And I'm really happy to be able to give an executive summary to you at some point in the future to share with you some of that qualitative and quantitative data that we're collecting. But it is impactful, and this money is allowing us to write in as secured money for grants, which are leading to really, really exciting things that I'm also excited to share with you guys in the future. So thank you from my whole heart, and on behalf of all of our kids down there. It means the world to us, so thank you very much.
Real quick, I've told you this before. If I had had a program like this when I was a kid, I may have very well went down a different road than I did.
Me too.
I have seen your kids show up time and time again, and these are the kids that society would forget about. I don't know if you really understand the positive that you're really putting out there. It is huge. The kids that I know have driven drunk, they're out there doing good stuff. You know, you're changing the future of our kids, and I mean, it's mad props to you.
Yeah, it's pretty special. They only have to fall as far as the Homie House and we'll catch them, so it's pretty amazing. We're expanding, which is really exciting too. So we're opening up downstairs in our downstairs unit, launching our professional development curriculum, and which is tied directly to employment opportunities for them. That will be through the Homey House as well. So really excited. Thank you guys very much.
So Tyler,
Yeah,
I know a lot of those kids.
yeah.
And since you started this operation, I was used to several of those kids having, I'll just say it, vacant looks in their eyes. These kids are happy. They're excited about what the future brings now. They're not moping. They're not complaining. You've given them, yeah, you've given them a path that they're buying into. And I am like Frank, and apparently you. I wish we'd have had this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my hat's off to you every day. And words cannot express how thankful I am for you and your team.
Yeah.
Because your team has been amazing.
Yeah.
All of them. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you guys. Yeah, it does. The credit doesn't rest here. It goes to my team. So yeah, very honored to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
All right, we have a motion by Andrew, seconded by Tracy, to accept the documentation provided by the Homey House demonstrating the commitment of donations and or grant funds of at least $10,000 and authorize the expenditure of previously dedicated matching funds of $10,000 to said recipient. Would you take the roll call vote, please?
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Chambers,
Yes.
Council President Mix,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yeah.
and Mayor Cross.
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Yay. Thank you, Tyler.
I'm gonna leave before I cry. So
All right, so now we're back on track. City Manager Heater.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Council, the next item before you is a request for your approval of amendment number 1 to the employment agreement for Finance Director Pro Tem Services. So at your last meeting, I gave you a quick update on the initial round of recruitment for our Finance Director position. Unfortunately, we had, let me backtrack. Fortunately, we had some very qualified candidates. Unfortunately, those candidates had other opportunities. We were down to one candidate for the interview round, very qualified applicant who unfortunately, due to some family circumstances, a relocation wasn't in the cards at that time. So we are reopening the recruitment for the Finance Director position. And in the interim period, Judy Richter, who has been serving the city quite diligently, has agreed to continue to do so while we reopen the recruitment. So the amendment that is in your packet this evening for your consideration, it basically does two things. Number one, it extends the deadline or the expiration date of the agreement through the end of April. We've talked with Jensen Strategies. We feel like that's a pretty good target date to hopefully have a finance director on board, assuming our next recruitment is successful. The agreement that Judy signed with the city prior to my arrival had an expiration date of September 30th. The contract obviously expired, but both the city and Judy have been continuing to work under the terms of that agreement. So the amendment that's in your packet this evening ratifies the previous agreement and all payments and services rendered between the parties since September 30th. It acknowledges that both sides have continued to operating in good faith under those terms, and so considers the agreement extended from its previous expiration date. Also, the agreement set the salary paid to Judy at $55 an hour. I think we were all optimistic in that the agreement did not contemplate any change to that rate. And Judy has now agreed to continue to serve the city. If it goes all the way till the end of April, it'll be close to a year. You acknowledged, you approved at a previous meeting of the recommended COLA for your non-represented staff. Judy's contract did not contemplate that a COLA might be extended to her. I think nobody was expecting her to be continuing to serve for as long as we're now contemplating. So the agreement or the amendment in your packet also allows for the COLA to be extended to Judy. I took the language from my contract that acknowledges that when a COLA is extended to department directors, that would apply to the city manager as well, and I included that into the amendment to apply to Judy's services as well. So those are the two things that the amendment does. It enables the COLA to be extended to Judy and extends the agreement from its previous expiration date through next April. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report on this item. I am available if there are questions.
Council, any questions? I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve amendment number 1 to the employment agreement for Finance Director Pro Tem Services between the City of Toledo and Judy Richter and authorize the city manager to execute the same.
Second.
Been moved by Tracy, seconded by Andrew, to approve amendment number 1 to the employment agreement for Finance Director Pro Tem Services between the City of Toledo and Judy Richter, and authorize the city manager to execute the same. Paul, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. Counselor Burns?
Yes, please.
Counselor Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Kaufman?
Yes.
Counselor Chambers?
Yes.
Counselor Keating?
Yes, indeed.
Council President Mix?
Yes.
Mayor Cross?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. All right, our next item, consideration of approval of council resolution regarding Resolution 1591, 1592, and 1593.
Before we launch, I can make a quick request.
Yes.
I actually don't have these. They weren't in the packet online. So I'd like to breeze through them while you guys are talking about them if there are copies available.
Absolutely. And Councilmember Chambers, I acknowledge on behalf of the staff, they were added to the packet at a later date, and we sent out a notice to the council that the online packet had been updated, but since you weren't on the council yet, you didn't get that email. So my apologies. By all means, breeze through them. I'll give a quick introduction. Councilor Kaufman.
On section 1, the City of Toledo's motto is Toledo welcomes you. This statement means far more than welcome to Toledo. Means that this community, we welcome all people of all races, national and ages are welcome here. So the "are welcome here" is redundant to the "welcome all" at the beginning of the sentence. See what I'm saying?
No.
We either need to take out "we welcome all." So it should read means that in this community, all people.
Oh, so are you
People
saying we
of all
don't need to
races.
delineate, do we need to, so are you saying we shouldn't delineate that?
We need to get rid of.
I see what the councilor is saying. Shortly after we have in quotes, Toledo welcomes you, means that in this community, we welcome all, and then it lists everybody that is welcomed, and then says all are welcome here. So it's redundant. Yep.
It's-
Oh,
Yep. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is yes, absolutely, but on a purely technical editorial, it is also technically not wrong.
No, it's,
So
it can go either way.
it can go,
It's one of
yeah,
those things.
it's a style choice. Neither is technically
Yeah.
by the rules of the language.
At least by the old
Yeah.
Oxford Style Dictionary, you can actually go either way with that.
yes, you can.
Okay, and
So I don't care.
Are you an OED man? All right.
you know, well, that's what they taught me in college.
I was just saying.
That was the book I had to look at all the time.
So,
Calling people of all is kind of rough, but
So for the record, and council, you can get into the content of the resolutions as part of your discussion. For the record, for anybody that re-watches or is listening to this meeting that hasn't watched or listened to the special meeting of last Monday. Just a very brief introduction. So, Council, you had a special meeting on the evening of Monday, November 24th, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, to discuss some items of news in Lincoln County recently. And you asked your staff to put together 3 resolutions for your consideration to adopt with official positions of the city related to the city of Toledo's values, related to the potential location of a immigration and customs enforcement detention center in Newport, as well as the Department of Homeland Security's relocation of the Coast Guard rescue helicopter away from Newport. So those are the 3 draft resolutions. I'd like to acknowledge and give credit to the city attorney who sat in on that meeting, took some very, very good notes from your discussion, and has prepared the resolutions that are in your packet this evening. So as you requested in that meeting, these very much are draft resolutions. Councilmember Kaufman already had one suggestion. They're certainly open to any refinement that you may wish to request this evening. If you like them as is, you're welcome, of course, to take action to approve them this evening. If you want to, if you identify, kind of like you do with your consent agenda, if you identify revisions but want to entrust your staff to execute them and publish them, then you can certainly act on them as revised, or you can give us direction to update them and bring them back to you. So I'm open to your feedback and direction on how you would like to proceed.
So her question is just merely how people read it, right? It's nothing
Yeah,
super technical.
it's just style.
No,
Correct. Yep.
I said, I don't care.
I was just curious. I'm not a
Right.
language arts person.
I was just pointing out that it's a little,
I think removing the words
But it's
are
fine.
welcome. I think removing the words are welcome here is perfectly reasonable, and it makes it a more comfortable
Yeah,
sentence.
it can go either way, and so, whatever y'all want, I'm happy with it.
I think my
Is y'all in the OED?
No, but it sure is if you've lived any time in Texas, I can tell you that much.
I think the one thing that I would encourage is we did talk a lot over these past 2 weeks in the special meeting and the last regular meeting about the time sensitivity of the topic, and wanting to do this at a time that speaking up would be most effective, especially when we're thinking about our partnership with the city of Newport, the Fishermen's Wives, and the county, and wanting to support the efforts that they're involved with. So I think I'm happy to sit here and work through any of the changes so that we can entrust city staff to go forward with approved resolutions if we are to approve them, rather than pushing this, potentially another week or two. So I don't mind spending whatever time it takes if we do need to hammer stuff out, and I just wanted to start this by saying that.
Any other comments on resolution 1591?
wonderful.
I think, Savani, I echo Rich's comments. I think all 3 of them represent very well the conversations that we've had these past 2 weeks. So
I think so too.
Savani, I do have one comment. Your last paragraph in 1591 is so perfectly written. Thank you. Because we get that thrown our way every so often, and I truly appreciate what you said there. And that is something that we need to make sure gets out to people. That we are not the same community we were 100 years ago, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, and this is all, these are all based on my notes and Rich's notes are what we remembered you all saying, just distilled. So thank you all. I mean, this is your policy. This is coming from you. This is your direction and your leadership. So we just put it in writing.
So if we pulled those, the all are welcome, we have to change this at the bottom.
No, what we're saying is that we can move to strike that last three words. Okay. And we can approve that as a change tonight, so it's passed tonight.
Okay, well, that's what I meant, but, so it's effective immediately, even though they have to rework it?
Yeah, it's effective upon your passage.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm good with everything else in there.
Okay.
So just to confirm, council, the request would be to remove the words "all are welcome" and are welcome here. Excuse me, are welcome here.
The last three.
And end paragraph 1 at and ages.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I move to accept city council resolutions number 1591, 1592, and 1593, noting an amendment to resolution number 1591.
Second.
It's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Frank, to approve Resolution 1591 as amended, and then Resolution 1592 and 1593. Paul?
Thank you. Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Chambers,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Council President Mix,
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Yes. All three resolutions are passed and are now part of the public record.
I thought we were just voting on one.
No,
No, she
the
said
motion
91,
was to
92,
do all
and
of them.
93.
I missed that. I'm sorry, because I don't agree. Can I change that?
Okay, I will
I voted
remove
yes.
my motion.
No, I voted yes, so I can make a motion for reconsideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I so moved.
Okay, so it's been moved to reconsider the last motion.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for reconsideration. Paul, would you take a roll call, please?
Give me just a second.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I was not prepared for that. I don't think any of us were.
I thought we just voted on the first one.
I kind of caught the, we broke up the discussion into individual resolutions, but then the motion was for all. I didn't fully register.
So it's been moved by Eric and seconded by Andrew to reconsider the previous motion.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes.
Hold on, can you tell her what you're doing? Because she understands she's re-voting on the same motion.
we're voting to reconsider the
Oh,
previous
she's voting
motion.
to
Basically,
reconsider.
to
I
reopen
understand.
It's to reopen that one, yes.
I understand fully, Tracy.
Okay.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Chambers.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, don't worry about it, you're doing
Go ahead.
fine.
Council President Mix.
Yeah.
And Counselor Keating.
Yes.
Did you get Frank in there?
Sorry, yes.
Did you get Frank in this with it? Okay.
Yes. Okay, we have reconsidered that, so we are going to do that again. Okay, let's do it individually. Okay,
So
so
we'll
on,
do a motion for each.
yes, that's what individually means.
Please.
So on resolution 1591, do we have a motion?
Move to approve resolution 91
As amended or not?
as amended.
All right.
I second.
It's been moved by Frank, seconded by Andrew, to adopt resolution 1591 as amended here this evening. Can you please take a roll call vote?
Thank you. Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Chambers,
Yes.
Council President Mix?
Yes.
Councilor Keating?
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Cross?
Yes. Resolution passes as amended. All right, moving on, Resolution 1592. Any changes anyone would like to make?
I have some issues with it.
Okay?
So, in the second whereas, multiple news outlets have reported that a military contractor has inquired about a hotel along the Oregon coast. So that is hearsay. Can we have just hearsay in? So that's one thing. And then the other thing where it's stated, I think the fourth or fifth one, the city council recognizes tourism as a critical economic driver for coastal communities. And so really concerned about it's the last one, the negative impacts on local tourism. And we don't have that based on anything. It's just, it may have. Right. And I'm not comfortable with that. And then the section 2, city council finds placement of an ice facility or increased ice operations in Newport, Oregon may have negative impacts on the local and regional tourism. We don't know that. And so I know we changed it because last time we met, we were talking about how it will have, and we changed it to may have, but still, I think we don't know. Because there are, there can be people on both sides. Somebody says, yeah, it's going to be really good for the economy. No, it's going to be bad. And so how do we handle that?
Council?
I can take just maybe a quick crack at it. On the first concern you raised on the first whereas, I think as written, the statement is true. I have read that in multiple media sources. So
Well, yes, but media sources.
yes, but the whereas has been reported in multiple sources. That is a true statement. Whether or not the underlying thing that's being reported is true or not, that may
See,
be
that's what gets me.
is questionable. But I think the statement as written is verifiably true. I think on the other question in terms of whether or not an ICE facility would have a deleterious economic impact on the community might be a matter of opinion. I think in the council resolves section is where the council would express an opinion. And so I think that what would be happening there is the council finding that is a likely thing to happen. A person could argue that it's not appropriate or important as a whereas, because that's more of a finding of fact. My personal opinion, again, to the council's pleasure, I'm fine with the resolution as written, but I would rather have a unanimous vote than have the final whereas or the second to final whereas. So if that was enough to bring you along, I would support holding the whereas.
Striking the last two
yes.
whereas.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that because I believe that the second to the last whereas is a true statement. Tourism is a critical economic driver for coastal communities in Lincoln County, including Toledo and Newport.
Oh,
That's
I
a
don't
true
see
statement.
that.
But that
Yeah.
doesn't say anything about devil's advocate here. What Tracy just said, and I support you in your beliefs, Jackie, I really do. But what Tracy just said is a matter of fact, that we do recognize tourism as a critical economic driver for coastal
Yes.
communities. It doesn't say anything in there about what the ICE facility could do to them.
That's the last
That's
one.
the
But the last one, if you strike the last one,
The last one I can understand.
then the second to the last one doesn't need to be there either because it's a leader for the last one.
Although it does speak to what the council would resolve, which is
Right.
it's going to have a negative effect.
So if you're gonna take off the last one, you should just take off the.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment on this before I try to sum up?
So I stand with the current language. pretty strongly. It is a matter of fact that there is national news coverage of the military contractor inquiring about hotel rooms along the coast. There have been owners of hotels along the coast who have shared with multiple local news outlets and state news outlets the contacts that they've received. And that news hitting national audiences is already showing a lot of commentary on public message boards, on Facebook, on there's analysis happening at the state and national level about how this will impact tourism. This will make people less likely to come here. And in terms of negative impacts on our economy, the increased presence of ICE in this community will prevent a lot of people of color from going to work in places where they feel more at risk of being misidentified as an undocumented immigrant. It will prevent people from living in this community, working in this community, and we know that the hospitality industry, the food service industry, which fuel our tourism, are largely populated by a workforce of people of color. Our fish processing facilities are largely worked by people of color. We have lots of major industry impacts. If even a small percentage of people in our community believe that they are under threat by an increased presence of ICE. And as much as I can appreciate that may have negative impacts, is not an absolute certainty. Positive impacts are not happening. There's no positive impact on our tourism and on our economy meaningfully from having a detention facility. There's just too much data. There are just too many examples of such facilities being built in communities of a similar size, of a similar geography, that demonstrate massive, sweeping economic decline. There is a reason why these facilities are put in remote locations, why study after study, regardless of what side of the aisle the study is funded by, there is a reason detention facilities are put in remote locations. It's because it's the only place that makes any sense for anything other than political purpose. There's no positive to having the facility except perhaps a handful of jobs, but at the heart of it, the number of businesses that will be at risk, the likelihood that hotels, that restaurants, that fishing companies will close down or have massive layoffs will far overwhelm the small amount of jobs that might be created. What tiny economic gain that could come from this will be drastically overshadowed by economic loss. I'm sorry, I can appreciate the hesitation over may have negative impacts, but there is no positive impact and I would much rather lean on the side of maybe we're lucky and nothing happens, but something bad is more likely.
I don't know, I will say that again, like I told her, I respect your view on this as well, Andrew. There's probably more people against the ICE facility that won't want to come because of this. But there's also those ones I got to play the devil's advocate here. There's also the ones on the other side of the fence that will come to this area because of it. basing our decision off of cities of other places goes against what we have said for, at least since I've been on council, that we are not like other cities. I can't base my view on what one-sided news media is showing when the other side's not been showing.
Well, I can tell you, I had a client that was going to, they wanted to open up a restaurant in Newport. This has changed their mind. They're going to look away from Newport for investments. Just because they might come. So it's a real thing, and it's already affecting things, even though it hasn't even happened yet.
Oh, I agree 100%. I've seen it in the community myself too. I just don't think that we should be nitpicking over a couple of things when in reality, this is going to do nothing to stop the ICE facility. This little statement we have here will do nothing to stop if our own people that are higher up in the government are trying to stop this and not really succeeding.
It shows that it's not just the 7 councilors in Newport. It shows that there are other cities that have a vested interest in this, that are stepping up and saying, not here.
The difference is, Andrew, you're not willing to give anything on this, and other councilors up here are.
I'm fine with that. And man, I gotta say, I'd love to see the Visit Newport advertisement that features the detention facility and someone says, damn it, let's go there. That's gonna be, that's going to win every advertising award in the world.
Your anger and irritation is, in my opinion, clouding your judgment, honestly.
It could be that it'll become the new prison guard convention circuit for the world.
Oh, shit.
They come to the coast.
I don't know about that.
Any other comments?
I like it the way it's written.
But if we're gonna take off the 4th one, we need to take off or 5th one, we need to take off the 4th.
I would ask Councilor Sylvia to clarify what he means that my anger is clouding.
We can talk about that outside, not while we're trying to figure this out.
No, now it's city business.
I just gave you an answer.
Gentlemen.
Sounds like a threat to me. Wonderful.
You need to clean your ears out because that was not a threat. We talked outside on the street last week, right?
Okay, time out.
Please.
Time out,
Okay,
both of you.
gentlemen. You both made your positions clear, okay? Do I have a motion on any of this to move forward with? And here's the last question. Because of what's been stated, do we, as a body, feel that this must be a unanimous vote? Or can we move forward with a split vote? I need your thoughts on this.
I don't think it should be forced to be a unanimous vote.
Okay? Jackie?
No.
Okay? Eric?
There's no reason why a vote on a resolution would need to be unanimous. My personal opinion is that if we made minor changes, then that resulted in a unanimous vote with a declaration that this facility is bad and is a bad proposal. That's a better outcome than a split vote on a resolution. I guess a different way to say it is I think it would be a mistake to make the perfect the enemy of the good. But like I said, I support the resolution as written. I would vote yes on both an amended resolution and on the resolution as written.
Tracy? Your thoughts?
I would like to see a unanimous one if we can come to that. I don't know how close Jackie Burns is to coming to this. It seems like, and I'm just making an assumption based on what you've said, Jackie, and if it's wrong, you can say it's wrong, and then I need to clean my ears out too. But it seems like she has more problems than just a couple things. It's almost like she doesn't like any of the resolution. And that could be the case. Is that, are you just feeling uncomfortable with the entire resolution or just parts of it?
I pointed out what I was uncomfortable with,
Okay,
not the whole
Thank you.
resolution.
Okay.
Andrew? I mean, I'm assuming I know what you're going to say, but I want you to say.
No, it's all right. So one thing I will say is that I am very comfortable with whereas I have a very strong opinion that everything in here is very well written. I think it matches the conversation that we had that directed the resolution as it was drafted. I think that all of this is captured in the conversation we had last week, which is why I feel strongly about wanting everything here. I do feel comfortable yielding on the multiple news outlets. I don't think that that is an essential component to the argument. I think that things such as tourism as an economic driver, the likely negative impacts on that industry, that exists without including anything about the media. I don't have any issue with removing that, recognizing Councilor Burns's
Make
hesitations.
concessions on that.
Yeah. So that is something that I feel very comfortable with in terms of, I'm not a big fan of being told that I want to yield on something, especially when that's not
Andrew,
ever true.
please don't take this as a time to chat.
I know, I am speaking. And I just want to say that that was something that was frustrating for me because, as I said, I likely would have already been there regardless. As for the unanimity, I do often find that this council prefers unanimity, and I don't always agree with that approach. Here, I especially recognize the value of not being unanimous, because this is not a unanimous topic in our community by any means.
Bingo.
Us having a split decision demonstrates the difficult balance that we have in our community and that we are 7 votes, not 1. We are representative of a wide range of ideas and viewpoints in our community. And that nay vote is as representative of our community as every single yay.
Mhm.
So I think that there is a power when you have a community like Newport's where they had hundreds of people show up and make it very easy for all 7 people on that dais to say, absolutely, this is how we stand, this is how we feel, because we've heard overwhelmingly from our community and it's our job to represent that interest. But I think that the conversation that we've had here these past couple of weeks has demonstrated that even we 7 are not fully aligned on every aspect of this. And so that's, to me, I would much rather be a more representative body than.
And that's, real quick, that's kind of what I was getting at is, we have almost never always voted on the same, so everybody having their own voice, in my opinion, should be what we should go along with.
Jackie?
I'm good with the concession that Andrew, I can bend on the other.
Okay, so let's see if I understand this correctly. Okay, so dropping the second whereas,
Yep.
going on new, okay? Dropping that one.
That's it.
And that's it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Not happy about it, but I'll do it. Just for the.
so do we have a motion?
I move to approve resolution 1592 with the amendment that the mayor just described.
I second that.
All right, it's been moved by Eric, seconded by Andrew, to accept resolution number 1592 and striking the second whereas, otherwise as written. Paul, would you take a roll call, please?
Counselor Burns,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Council President Mix.
Yeah.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Counselor Chambers,
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Yes. All right, next item, resolution number 1593. Okay, discussion?
I have got to say real quick, I heard that helicopter coming across my house just the other night. I wheeled my wheelchair right over to the door, opened it up, letting all the bugs in, just so I could hear that dandy flying
What
over
did
my
I
head.
tell you about saying that four-letter word?
Dandy?
No.
What?
Please, people.
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay, we'll just call it a
Gyrocopter.
Bugs?
But seeing that they had been, the temporary injunction or whatever you want to call it, happened that night we had that meeting,
Mhm.
I can't tell you how good that made me feel.
Yep.
Because I'm never gonna be rescued by it unless my wheelchair goes off a cliff, but all of our men and women that go out on them boats are tourists that come here to recreate, and our locals that go onto the beach and don't pay attention to the waves. That helicopter is absolutely
Don't forget
necessary.
about our loggers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Our
Loggers too.
kids, I mean, there have been other times that
Search
we.
and rescue,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like a little kid in a candy store when I heard that helicopter, I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
You weren't the only one.
The next hearing is on Monday, and there is hope that this will be extended that the restraining order will be extended for the duration of.
The fight.
Yeah.
I was a little irritated to find out they sent it down to North Bend where there was two others sitting there.
Anyway,
I move to approve resolution 1593.
I can still come back to you, so.
Yeah. There's a typo. Therefore, the city of Toledo.
Toledo. Right off the tongue.
Oh,
That could have been me.
Tracy, how did you miss that one?
They had me thrown for so many leaps this time.
Uh-huh.
I was confused.
Counselor Keating, where's that?
Now therefore, the city of Toledo. It's a pretty
Yes.
big one.
Yeah.
Right below the whereas.
I was gonna wait and change that after he got done, but
Rolling T-zones.
So we did as a staff in preparation of your potential action tonight, we transcribed them from Savani's format into the city's resolution format. So that may have been on us. I'm not gonna
Lonnie
single
could not
out.
have made that mistake.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna single out anybody.
Not have done
That
that.
could have been any of the three of us.
Could
So,
not have done that.
It was a team effort.
that's right.
It was a gremlin.
That's
A
right.
gremlin did it.
Team Gremlin.
So Eric has a motion on the floor to adopt resolution 1593 as amended.
Second. Oh,
Sorry,
Frank got
Frank
it.
It's been moved by Eric, seconded by Frank to adopt resolution 1593 as amended. Take a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Counselor Copeland,
Yes. Sorry.
Council President Mix.
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Chambers.
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Yes. All right, we are now on to reports and comments. City manager, oh, wait, what?
Before we move on from that topic, because I did want to at least talk about the helicopter case a little bit. One of the things that we had discussed in our special meeting was the possibility of more direct support to Newport, the county fishermen's wives in their suit. And so one of the things that we had discussed as a possibility, I feel like we had gotten to a consensus on it, was amicus support as a likely outcome of our meeting, our special meeting last week. Did we come to that consensus officially? Or is that something that we still need to say, hey, as a council, we want to
I thought we
direct?
came to it.
I thought we
I
came to
thought-
a consensus and sent it out to Savani to.
There was consensus at your meeting, but there wasn't action, and you would need to
Okay.
take action in order to formalize that desire. I would like to open the floor to the city attorney
Of
to
course.
kind of give a little bit of background on what that process would look like. Savani, do you have any information you'd like to share at this time on how the city might go about that?
Sure. So, at this point, I'm still in the process of gathering information on what the city's options might look like, and in particular with respect to the cost, because oftentimes people will support in an amicus role when they have sort of something different to say than what the plaintiffs are saying, or what the party that they're supporting is saying. And here I'm not sure that that we'd be kind of just signing on to what one of the parties may already be saying. So there could be another similar way to support. I would like to take some more time and see if I can gather more information on the city's options and the specific ways you might support, and then also find more information out about the specific cost of those options. Because, if you're going to spend money and time on legal resources, it might be better spent in a different supporting role, but I don't know.
Yes, Andrew.
Time is my only concern here. So recognizing that next hearing is coming up on Monday, I'm not sure what the timeline is for the rest of their hearings. I don't know what their court schedule looks like as it relates to this case. I'm wondering about how likely you feel we can be beneficial to this process, to supporting the plaintiffs in this case.
So it might be, so at this point, that's not really enough time to sign on as a party or prepare a brief, learn about the legal issues, really jump into the case in that way. But it's possible that even your resolution on this matter will be useful to them. That would be a business document. It could be something that they use to support, but that would be up to their legal teams. And then the temporary injunction is really so that's not the end of the case, but that would put the same action in place until there's a final ruling on it. But the briefing schedule for those is really tight. And just as a practical matter, there's not enough time to get involved in the lawsuit legally between now and then.
Correct.
Even if we could, and I don't know what the procedures would be exactly.
So reading through the federal law, which is what they're basing their case upon, they're going to have to do an extended injunction, probably till the resolution of the case. And if past actions by various government agencies, this thing could last a long time. And so I think Savani's brought up some very valid points that we need to, and I think having something to look at in a couple of weeks that is more direct to what we'd like, I think has a better option at this point. I think forwarding them our resolution, I think is a good idea.
The last one take 2 years.
It depends on which one you're talking about. There was one in California that went 5 years.
No, I mean the one with the fisherman's wives, one that took like 2 years.
That took 2 years. They just adjudicated one down in, I want to say it's down around Santa Maria, Santa Barbara area on this very issue about must do it and have the way you do it. It took them 5 years to get through that one. But they had an injunction in until it got resolved.
Yeah. I think my main question was just to make sure that we didn't need to necessarily have a meeting sooner than 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, there you go.
In order for us to figure out a way to be helpful. So getting back to this in 2 weeks won't have any negative impact on our influence, right?
I don't.
Thank you.
All right. Reports and comments. City manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In consideration of the length of the meeting thus far and the executive session to follow, I'm going to be brief this evening. Just going to let council know one of my staff the other day brought up the request to me to take off December 26th. Which occurred to me is a Friday after a holiday. Fridays, as you know, are half days at City Hall anyway. I kind of putting those pieces together realized that a vast number of my staff are probably not going to be here that day anyway. So I just wanted to let council know that I'm going to authorize the closure of City Hall on December 26th. and let staff have the extended holiday. So we'll be getting that information out to the public. What's that? We're doing it right now, yeah, too. But yeah, we'll be making that that announcement through our. We'll be making that announcement through our standard communication outlets. But I wanted to go ahead and share that information this evening with council as well. So, Mr. Mayor, for this evening, in consideration of time, I'll limit the city manager's report to that, and we'll go ahead and get through the meeting.
All right, any questions for the city manager this evening? All right.
Very good.
Council comments, I'll start with Councilor Kaufman.
Nothing here.
Councilor Soviet.
I just want to go on record again asking that we name that civic center after Officer Sumter, who lost his life in the line of duty. Since we were just talking about it today.
So where does that get placed so it does happen? Where?
That I don't know.
Well, it'll depend on what our layout looks like.
I'm just gonna keep beating the drum until it's done.
Okay.
His family deserves it.
I just was thinking of follow through. Okay, thank you for sharing. So what happens next? Does it get placed somewhere so there could be follow through?
So we, as council is probably aware, we have both what we, I want to make sure I get these titles correctly. So the agenda tracker is for items that we as staff are bringing forward to you and kind of when they're going to be calendared. Your issue tracker is items like what Councilmember Sylvia is doing right now, which is bringing an item to our attention from the dais. So that will go on our issue tracker. It'll be a little bit, down the line as you start to go through your actions for funding and design and so forth. That'll be one of the things that will be part of your action as the process goes along. So we will put that on the council item tracker and have that as appropriate timing aligns.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yay.
And that's all I got.
Okay, you get to go. Councilor Burns.
I don't know, do I ask you or do I ask you, Mr. Huebner, about for our next meeting, could we have a discussion about volunteer appreciation event? I've been doing some brainstorming and I have lots of thoughts, but I'd really like.
No, that's who you directed to, because so we can
Okay.
put it on our agenda.
And we'll make sure that gets on the agenda for December 17th. I know that was an item you brought up previously, Counselor, and I love that you've been doing some brainstorming. I had a staff member approach me with a kind of general idea that I'd love to run by you as well. So we'll chat before the 17th, but I'll make sure that that's on the agenda.
Yeah, and just one thing, I crossed paths with a woman who made a donation for the drawing for the Omi House dance. And she said, I got your written thank you card. She said, do you have any idea how many things I donate to? And I never hear from anybody. So I'm really glad that I did it, even though they are kind of.
With the 74 cents.
Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so that's all I had.
Thank you. Andrew?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. To our newest council member. Oh, no, council president goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll share my gratitude to the council for the privilege of serving with you, and it means a lot, and I appreciate it.
Yay.
Council President Mix.
Nothing.
Okay. Mayor's comments are, I'm really, as much hard work as it was tonight, okay, I'm proud of how this council worked through these things and how we got to what I consider to be right solutions across the board. I know that split votes are okay. Been there, I've been on the short end of the split votes before. But the one thing that voting unanimously does is it allows for us to present, for lack of a better word, a clear united front. And what I mean by that is I've seen other councils where the people who voted in the minority in public did not support what the council decided, and so it caused more backlash. So the willingness to work to a compromise that we can all live with ensures that we can be that united front to the community because we are representing them. And part of that is the compromise, okay? Part of that is sitting down and hashing things out. And it's one of the things that, Eric, I did not grow up here, but I will tell you that the reason we chose to live here 30 years ago is because it reminded both of us of the way our small towns worked. And Toledo is a super example of that, of how, I'll just say it, back in the middle part of this last century, people worked together to solve things. When push came to shove, everybody had ideas, but in the end of the day, we came together to solve an issue. And so I'm right there with you on the love of this town. And as we go into this holiday season, with all the stuff swirling around, just remember, be kind, show grace, and make sure people realize that, what we do is not the easiest job in the world, but we do it for them. And if they want to talk to us, please talk to us. Okay? That's all I have tonight. So let's see, anything new on the future agenda items, Rich?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Sylvia brought up an item a moment ago, which I appreciate. Does any other council member have any? And Councilor Burns, yes, I have. I already added yours to our tracking sheet.
Behind you.
Mr. Johnson.
The Lincoln County Genealogical Society was supposed to be here tonight.
Thank you.
She was sick as of yesterday, so she's asked to schedule later in January.
So the Genealogical Society?
Genealogical Society.
Genealogical Society.
Is that the one where you wiggle the nose and you transport places?
Or no, you gotta.
Does any council member have a topic they would like added for future discussion?
Yes, and it doesn't have to be the 17th. It can be our first meeting in January, but we need to try and find a day for council retreat and building our goals.
Yes.
Okay. Yes,
I think we can. I appreciate that you said it didn't have to be the 17th. I think we can get that on that agenda.
Because as long as and the reason I say this is because of budget. If we can have it done by the end of the first week of February, then when you're going with all the department heads, they know what we've laid out as our goals, and so we can all get on the same page.
Great.
That's it. All right.
Councilor Keating, did you have something?
Actually, feels like a piggyback now on that, but I don't know whether it's in an agenda item or if it's just an action that has already been approved, but circling back to calling for the budget committee to have its discussion of what the budget process and cycle looks like this year. I don't know where we finally landed on whether or not that actually needed to be authorized by council or whether the budget committee had already effectively voted to have that meeting called. But regardless, that should probably happen in the first couple of months as well for the budget committee to meet for that purpose.
Agreed, and thank you for the reminder. This has not fallen out of mind, but we have had a few items crop up since you first brought it up. So I do appreciate the refresher. We don't need council action on that. We'll reach out to the budget committee and schedule it. And I value the especially with this being my first Oregon budget, I definitely value the opportunity to have that meeting as well. So we'll get that on the books. Thank you.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? All right, we are adjourned.